This week, we're looking at libraries and books challenged over time. One of the topics that we consistently see in the history of libraries is the challenge and banning of books in libraries, the burning or destruction of libraries, and this idea that libraries and books offer some sort of threat to certain types of cultural beliefs. Libraries have consistently been part of a social and political conflict throughout history and are a strong statement, and this is a strong statement to their role as socially constructed institutes that are both a source and consequence of their historical context. And they are always amidst and among struggles for power. This lecture is not a complete history of burned and destroyed libraries throughout history, but an example of some of the libraries that have been destroyed and the political, social, and cultural reasons why. Libraries and print and text have been destroyed by human actions, natural disasters, and fires. Perhaps the most famous and infamous library burn was one of the first and most robust, the Library of Alexandria. The Royal Library of Alexandria, also known as the Ancient Library of Alexandria in Alexandria, Egypt. This library, also referred to as a museum, was created by Ptolemy I of Soter in order to hold archives, host lectures, gardens, a zoo, and as a shrine. Scholars lived at the library to research, write, lecture, translate, and copy documents. In 48 BC, Julius Caesar was blamed for the destruction of the Library of Alexandria when Caesar was pursuing Pompey into Egypt. Caesar ordered the ships in the harbor of Alexandria to be set on fire, and the fire spread and burned down part of the city. Religious shifts in Rome may have also contributed to the ultimate destruction of the Alexandria Library. The library also may have been destroyed by Theophilus, the ruler of Alexandria from 385 to 412 AD, when the Roman Empire was converting to Christianity, and many documents were destroyed themselves. Some writers believe that Mark Antony gave Cleopatra over 200,000 scrolls from the library after Julius Caesar was accused of burning it. The definite destruction of the Alexandria Library is still difficult to determine as definite, as it could have happened all at once from Caesar or over years of destruction over religious shifts of Rome. Colonization and the expansion of empire was another motive for the destruction of knowledge and information. In 1562, the Catholic bishop Diego de Landa ordered the destruction of the Mayan codices. During the Spanish conquest of Latin America, the Catholic Church used religion as a means of destroying much of indigenous culture. Bishop Diego de Landa ordered an inquisition into Yucatan. The codices were the primary written records of the Mayan civilization and were burned by monks who claimed that they were concerned that they would interfere with the conversion of religion. With the destruction of the Mayan codices, nearly came the destruction of the Mayan language altogether. De Landa went on to torture and jail many Mayans for their continual practice of their own culture, worship of old gods, and retention of religious ceremonial beliefs. After the destruction of Mayan language and culture, De Landa chose to chronicle the Mayan civilization out of remorse for his previous practices, writing a Mayan history called Relación de las Cosas de Yucatán in 1566. Books and texts in libraries and information spaces have been challenged in a number of ways. Emily Knox defines a challenge as occurring when an individual or group asks library administrators to remove, restrict, or relocate materials within the library. Challenges do not always lead to banning, but often can lead to the library banning materials. Banned books have been especially prevalent in American history. Books that have been most challenged are children's books. A common reason given for a challenged book is that it's unsuited or inappropriate for age groups. Young adult books have also been challenged. Classics and books with diverse content, such as books that have content about people of color, LGBT people, and people with disabilities. There's an extensive list of banned books among children's books. One of the most challenged books is titled And Tango Makes Three, written by Justin Richardson and Peter Pamel. And Tango Makes Three is a 2005 children's book, most frequently challenged from 2006 to 2010. This book is about the true story of a male penguin couple at the Central Park Zoo who tried and eventually hatched an egg, Tango. And Tango Makes Three has frequently been cited as challenged because of its same-sex relationship among penguins. Parents in Illinois, North Carolina, Virginia, Iowa, and California challenged this book, which resulted in removing the book from the shelves, restricting the book to certain spaces in the library, and there were further challenges in Missouri, Massachusetts, and Singapore that resulted in censorship. And Tango Makes Three is an example of how libraries, patrons, and culture can clash. ALA has consistently defended and celebrated And Tango Makes Three, resisting a traditional "the library is neutral" trope around passive libraries and librarians. Book burnings have also had a long history related to libraries, archives, and collections. In 213 BC, Chinese Emperor Qin Shi Huang ordered the burning of books from his new empire, burning poetry, philosophy, and history. After the invention of the Gutenberg printing press in 1440, more books were printed and considered threatening to authoritative regimes. Knowledge has been viewed as a way of enlightenment for some and a threat to worldviews for others. The Nazis were known for their book burnings, and Mao Zedong of China was also a notorious book burner of information that promoted propaganda. Mao was also a trained librarian. More recently, the Al-Qaeda targeted manuscripts in Mali in 2012, and Timbuktu's librarian Abdel Kader Haidara smuggled out 350,000 manuscripts during this destruction. Let's take a look at some of the most challenged books in 2016. This One Summer, written by Mariko Tamakai, was challenged because it includes LGBT characters, drug use and profanity, and was considered sexually explicit. Drama, written and illustrated by Reina Telgemeier, was challenged because it includes LGBT characters and was deemed sexually explicit. George, written by Alex Gino, was challenged because it includes a transgender child. I Am Jazz, written by Jessica Herthel and Jazz Jennings, was challenged because it portrays a transgender child. Two Boys Kissing, written by David Leviathan, was challenged because it has a cover of two boys kissing and it has LGBT content. Looking for Alaska was challenged for sexually explicit scene. Big Hard Sex Criminals was challenged because it was considered sexually explicit. Make Something Up, Stories You Can't Unread was challenged for profanity, sexual explicitness, and offensiveness. Little Bill by Bill Cosby is challenged because of the criminal sexual allegations against the author. And Eleanor and Park, written by Rainbow Rowell, was challenged for offensive language. So we see a lot of common themes in book challenges. Oftentimes they're related to LGBT, gender, and sexuality. And this is a consistent theme throughout the history of books, but it certainly hasn't gone